the Princeton study in 2014, after studying something like 180 bills and policies from 81 to 2001, that the conclusions were we're 100% oligarchy. They didn't find anything in those bills, or those policies, that was democratic. Yeah. So basically you have a handful of people making all the decisions, all the important decisions for everyone else. And George Carlin used to say, we don't have any choices. Well, you can choose what kind of yogurt flavor or cereal, but you don't really have any choices. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's really, well, so obviously true. And the main point to make about choices, we used to have those pictures when we were celebrating our bringing democracy to Iraq with the overthrow of Saddam Hussein, who had nothing to do with 9/11, and Al-Qaeda couldn't operate in Iraq. So it's one of maybe the biggest or clearest lie in U.S. foreign policy history. You use the attack of 9/11's justification to go war in Iraq, and that's the one place where Al-Qaeda couldn't operate, and he had nothing to do with it. They had nothing to do with it. So yet when we were bringing democracy, supposedly, you show these women they're in their charter or whatever, and they're holding up their purple stained finger because they had voted, right? I voted. Well, they all voted for what the Ayatollah had told them, or some other tribal leader or something had told them. Well, is that what you mean by democracy? Well, how are we different? If you're making a decision about a president who took us to this war and engaged in policies of torture and lied to us, and you don't have access to the information, right? Like that was what Daniel Ellsberg did with the Pentagon Papers. Said, no, I worked on this history within the Pentagon about the Vietnam War, and I see it's a tissue of lies. The American people have been deceived. Now, this is an ex-Marine, Daniel Ellsberg, had supported the war. He said, wait, it's all lies. I got to let the people know. I got to take this to the Washington Post and the first New York Times, then the Washington Post, get it out there. Well, he faced 130 years in jail,
That's right.
under Nixon. So here you have now the same lies. So the vote means nothing. The vote means nothing if they can keep the basic information, whether it's about trade agreements or it's about going to war. If you don't have the information, an uninformed vote doesn't mean anything.
That's right.
It's a parody, right? And that's what you're really talking about now. And these idiots that go around saying, oh, lesser evil, lesser evil. This maybe if we don't have run out of time.
Let's take a little break.
No, before you. Oh,
okay.
You want to take a break?
We're down to 30 seconds. So let's take a little break and come back in another segment and continue where we left off.
Let me take my 30 seconds.
Okay.
You can cut it out. I just want to say the lesser evil. That's a big cop-out, because the people who brought this country to misery right now, with wars that can't be justified, with an economy that raped the average American for the interests of Wall Street, they were the establishment. It wasn't Donald Trump. It was establishment that Hillary Clinton and her husband played a very central role in.